Welcome on in. Thanks for joining us. DJ's off today, but some guy who's always on is never off. He goes by the name of Kevin Graham, and he is quite the animated little person. Good morning, Kevin.
A little person, one of my elves.
It's the season, Elf, one of my favorite Christmas movies.
I just want to know that I'm a 5'9". I'm of average height, DK. All right, 5'9", I think is average, isn't it? I hope so. I don't know.
I think it is, but you're slight of built.
Yes, that's true. That's good. So, hey, no DJ today. Does he actually take time off? I didn't think that's possible.
He did. Yes.
No,
he goes. Every year he goes to soccer camp, so he is up on his soccer.
That's great. Got to make it exciting, man, when they're just kicking the ball in the middle of the field. It's good. I get it. So,
you're not a soccer guy?
You know what? I've gotten better. I've appreciated more. I appreciate it at the highest level. Like the MLS, I'm still, I don't know. I know it's getting better, but yeah, when it's like World Cup, and I'll watch then and root for the American team that absolutely sucks. So I've said multiple times about soccer, not to go into soccer, but like we really should just disband the men's program. The whole get rid of it. We suck. We're terrible. Put all resources towards the women because they're usually pretty good, and let's just go there because we're just not very good ever. So anyways, there you go.
Correct.
There's your soccer talk. Yes.
Well,
there's your soccer talk.
We have on during the season, we have on players or coaches, management, I should say, on Friday, and one of them is their coach, Pablo Mastrioni. And the funny thing about, and you would know this since you have some Phoenix background, I grew up at 23rd Avenue and Greenway, and he grew up at 7th Avenue and Greenway. We went to the same high school.
No, really? So you were on the wrong side of the tracks, and he was on the right side of the tracks. I got it. So
yeah, so I mean, I'm older than him. I'm older than everybody, but we went to the same high school, and his parents still live in the house that he grew up in.
Really? Well, there's a little fun fact. Yeah,
I know. Good. So we got a little Arizona connection there that bugs DJ, so we play it up as much as possible.
Yeah, well, that's good. How are you feeling? Since we just have a conversation every time we do this on Friday. How are you feeling about your Devils against the Longhorns? That's a double-digit favorite for Texas. I saw today.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one.
Well. Yeah, you got to go to the point of getting away from, all right, well, we've accomplished so much. Once you do that, you've lost. Mm-hmm. So you have to forget, you've had a marvelous season that exceeded anybody's expectations. No, even the players, the coaches, they'll admit it. Come on, no one had them. They were 3-2 in conference, and they haven't lost, right? Yeah. And good for them. It's awesome that they've been able to do this, no question. And Dillingham, you live down there. I always felt there's a fan base. You just got to give them a reason to be excited. Correct. And if you do, they will be there. It's not like Stanford. Stanford was winning under Harbaugh and David Shaw, and they were still having trouble drawing. That won't be the case in Tempe. They'll be there in the Phoenix area. So he's given them the reason. They've responded. But you can't take the mindset of, this is house money. When it comes to sports, I hate that expression, house money, because I never believe in it. No. If you're good, that means you're good, so now you've got to go ahead and show again that you're good. Now, Texas, I watched them against Clemson, obviously, and they ate them alive. So it's going to be really, really difficult. But if they can run the ball with Scatterboo and come up with a couple of turnovers, if they can't, you look at the game, they lost 2 games, right? One, the quarterback wasn't there, Levitt. So the Cincinnati on the road, all right, their quarterback didn't play. So he's 11-1 when he's been there. And the other game that they lost was early in the season to Texas Tech. I think it was their first conference game. And Scatterboo only ran for 60 yards in that game. They lost by 8. I'm not comparing Texas Tech to Texas, but I'm saying that Scatterboo couldn't run the ball. And so if they can't run the ball, they're going to have trouble. If they can run the ball, maybe they got a shot.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I also think a big thing, especially with teams that are not used to being in this big of a spotlight like you're talking about, is the start too. Like if you can get out to a decent start, Because we've seen so many games run this way where if the favorite jumps on you quick and suddenly you're down 14-0, I mean, I think that's when it's big time trouble, especially because, for Arizona State to win, they got to hold on to the ball and they got to run the ball, and you don't want to be playing from behind. So if they can start strong, I think they got a shot in it. Hopefully, I think it'll be a better game than the dogs that we saw in the first round of the playoffs. At least that's my hope. But I think that's the key. Start strong and hang in there. And like you said, just let Scadaboo run the ball and hope for the best and keep it tight. And you don't get to the fourth quarter. And you never know. If you're in the game and you believe and you're in the fourth quarter and you're only down a touchdown or down a field goal or even have a lead, then I think, things could happen. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
How much do you buy that the two teams that are under the microscope from the committee's decision is ASU and Boise, that they don't necessarily have to win, but they've got to play a competitive game, or else everything even more so is going to slant towards the Big 12, the Big 10 and the SEC, and we'll do away with buys for conference winners, and we'll make sure that those two conferences are taken care of because of the fact of Indiana and SMU getting smoked, and Clemson of the ACC. It wasn't really a competitive game. Ohio State put it on them right from the start. That it's important for the so-called little guys or the other guys that aren't in the big two conferences to represent well, and so that responsibility falls on the Devils and Boise.
Yeah, and I think it's unfair, but it's a dog and pony show, and you're going to have to put up a fight. I mean, if you look at this playoff system, you're already behind the eight ball. I mean, already the SEC is clamoring because of the fact of, like you pointed out, Indiana and getting blown out and the struggles there. But so if Boise State and Arizona State can be competitive, I think that will at least lend a little credence to still allowing them to have that shot against a bye. But I don't know, man. I think after this playoff thing is over, even if those two teams are competitive or if they pull off an upset, the SEC and the Big Ten will do everything in their power to make sure that it tilts to them, that it's going to be a better system for them, meaning, like you just said, I think the buys will go away. I think they'll just seed everything, which will suck because I do think conference championships should mean something. But, it's SEC and Big Ten world, and everybody's living in it, and you just got to kind of accept the scraps. But I do think it'll help if Arizona State and Boise State at least play competitive. I think Arizona State can. I'm a little – I don't know. Penn State surprised me. They look pretty good in that in their win. So I don't know. I mean, but Boise State always finds a way to – they were the original giant killer back in the day. So, they've had a lot of time to prepare. If they come out again, same thing with Arizona State. They play competitively. They get out to a quick start. They stay in the game. Then – maybe that'll help. But on one end they have to play well, PK. I agree with you, but on the other, I think the little guys are going to get screwed no matter what. It's going to be SEC and Big Ten next year, and they're going to figure out the seeding system, and they're going to make sure that more SEC and Big Ten schools can get in over the Indianas of the world. Even though that's a Big Ten team, but they were. They weren't real. I mean, they played a very light schedule, and the easiest schedule you can play in the Big Ten, it seemed like. So yeah, I hope they're competitive because that will at least lend a little credence. But I still think in the end, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to get their way, and this thing's going to change probably next year, with the seeding and everything.
Longtime Salt Lake radio superstar Kevin Graham joining us as he does every Friday. Do you know Herb Street at all? Did you work with him in any of your 42 stops?
Yeah, I did. He was my afternoon drive host when I left Salt Lake the first time to be the program director in Columbus, Ohio. He was doing our afternoon show, and that was right around the time when he started getting big. He was on the College Game Day. It really kind of sucked, to be honest with you. He was a good guy. I liked working with him, but he. He was gone, like during football season. He was gone 3 of the 5 days a week because he's doing ESPN stuff. But yeah, so I know him. I haven't talked to him in years, but yeah, I did work with him back in the day, right as he was kind of starting to take off and become the big time analyst that he is now.
Z had the controversial interview that they did where he talked about that wins shouldn't matter, and that blew up. And you got ESPN guys going after each other, and a lot of folks just going nuts on what he said. The way I took it, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm assuming you heard the interview and you know what I'm speaking about, that he was focused on the quality wins rather than the number of wins. He wasn't saying wins don't matter, but let's investigate the wins to make sure that they're quality wins. And he was pointing at Indiana, whose best win, I think, was over a 7-5 Michigan team. And I think 8 teams that they played had finished with losing records. I mean, 75% of their schedule basically was against teams that lost, that were losing records. So what do you think about that? Because I thought it had some validity, but I thought it got misinterpreted, or maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he was just saying, no, forget that. Let's just put the big boys in.
No, yeah, I think he meant. I think you read it right. I read it the same way, or when I heard it, I saw it the same way as you. But this is where they messed up, and this is where the Big Ten and SEC, I think, have figured it out. Like, they've gotten too big, and so you're going to have situations like this where some of these teams are going to get a better schedule because, I mean, the schedule's the schedule, and then they're rotating the teams through in and out. And in some years, like it was kind of a weird year. Indiana just got a great schedule and got to play and beat up on all the worst Big Ten teams. But again, because of the way college football is set up, it's always going to be that. I mentioned Dog and Pony Show. It's always going to be that you're going to have to dig in and see the quality wins, just because that's just the way it's set up. And then particularly now with these conferences being as big as they are, you're going to have to dig in, and I think quality wins will matter, and I think it has to. I mean, the committee's got to look at it because Indiana was, they were kind of a fraud in a way, and so I agree. I think you're going to, until they can. I don't know if they're ever going to come up with until they come up with a system where every team actually gets into the playoff, which you never know if that'll happen someday. It's just the way it's going to be. You're going to have to. You're going to have to look at the schedules. You're going to have to analyze it that way. And particularly, with the way Indiana, kind of blew it, you're stuck. From here on out, I think the quality of wins are going to have to be assessed, kind of like what Herbstreit was saying.
Right. I didn't understand all the grief that he took from your guy Shannon Sharp, who basically threatened Herbstreit, and so Shannon Sharp is allowed to have an opinion. But if Herbstreit questions that opinion, that's wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's ego, though. That's just big time, egos. You know how that works, PK.
I mean, if DJ questions me, I'm burying that sucker to the point where he told me I need to take the whole week off after Christmas.
I know. You know what I do? I get a whole week off after Christmas. It's good. I don't know. I think sometimes the egos for us personalities get a little bloated. Like Shannon Sharp, like, seriously, we're just talking about college football and football in general. Just chill down. I mean, don't take a personal front that you're going to go beat the hell out of Herbstreit because he made a comment that you disagree with. I mean, give me a break. You know what I mean? Like, it's so dumb. It's like we chill.
Yeah. That's what I think DJ and I understand when we go at it. Hey, we're arguing sports here. We're not arguing real problems.
I know, exactly. We're supposed to be a distraction from the real world, So
right,
just chill it out.
Did you hear that one time down the station you used to work at? The two morning guys go at it. Did you hear that one?
That was that. I don't know which show. Which show?
It was it was the ex-jock Wolf and whoever his partner was.
Oh yes, that's right, Doug and Wolf. Yep, down in there. Yep, I remember that. Oh yeah. They it's like, come on, guys.
And I was down there, and I used to do some shows out of their studios when. My wife and I, we had 3 parents die within 15 months of each other. So I was going down there a lot, and Hatch would let me use his studios to do this to the point where they gave me a card key because I was down there so much. Because it was in a truncated time, and you go down at the end of life, and then it lingers for 2 months, whatever it might be. So I spent a lot of time in Phoenix there at that time. So I got to know some of the guys, and he told me that he had to have a conversation with them afterward. If that's available online, our listeners should go look up. It was Doug and Wolf was the morning show, and those guys literally darn near came to blows on the air.
Oh yeah. I had that in Boston. I had a morning show in Boston. I swear to you, every morning after the show, I'd have to go and talk with them to try to get them from not killing each other. It was amazing. So I'm like, come on, guys. The East Coasters, man, they're angry. They're angry little elves, man. They just go after it all the time.
Did you learn that when you're on the East Coast?
Oh yeah, just a little bit. Yep. We would literally. I had a story. One time, I had my midday show in my office, and I was joking with Christian Fourier, who used to play for the Patriots. He was one of the hosts, and Lou Merlone used to be a ball player for the Red Sox, and Glenn Ordway, he was a legendary host in Boston at the time, and Memorial Day was coming up. And I told him, I said, hey, guys, you're getting Memorial Day off. You're going to take the holiday off. Holidays, people don't listen to the radio as much on holidays. It's just a proven fact. Their lives are disrupted. They literally got so mad because they wanted to work that day so they could have an extra comp day to use. I literally got yelled at. Like, I never in my life been yelled at by people before over giving them a day off. Like, I'm like, are you serious? Like, where am I right now? I mean, it's a holiday. You should be like, go enjoy your family. It was like 15 minutes of screaming. And then I'm like, finally, I just said, I threw him out of the office. I'm like, just get out of here. All right, you're off on Memorial Day. See you later. It's like, gosh, you people, settle down. All good guys, love them to death, but man, the anger is over the weirdest things. So anyway,
so we won't talk to you until next Friday. Who do you think survives the quarterfinals?
I kind of lean to the favorites, except the Oregon Ohio State's going to be an interesting one because Ohio State, man. I think everybody thought they were going to be left for dead after the way they lost to Michigan, but man, they proved everybody wrong in the way they came out and played. So I feel bad for Oregon. I mean, Oregon's the number one overall seed, and they're going to have the toughest, seems like, task and toughest game. So, so that one, I do think there's going to be an upset somewhere along the way. We're due for one. We didn't get it in the first round. So I don't know if that's Arizona State. I don't know if that's Boise State over Penn State. But I see something there. And Georgia, I'm curious about only because, they have a quarterback issue. Gunnar Stockton, I guess is the guy's name, who's now going to be the quarterback. Yeah. So that one I'm a little curious about. But I don't know. I'm in North Carolina celebrating the holidays with my family, and gambling is legal here. And I started with $100, and I have $0. And I was only betting $5 bets, PK. So why ask me? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. All right, I don't know who I'm going to pick. So, but if I had to, I'd say, Arizona State or Boise State, one of those two will pull off an upset. Here, I'll lay that one out, and then. Oregon, Ohio State, I just think it's a toss-up. I remember watching that game when they played originally this year, and that was a hell of a game. So
it was, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Georgia's good. So I just, Notre Dame, I still question a little bit. So I would say Georgia, give me Oregon, give me Arizona State for your behalf, and Penn State. Those will be the four, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
But I'll probably be wrong on all of them. So.
Well, I hope you're right on one of them. We'll see about the rest of them.
I know,
and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Hey, sounds great, my friend. Enjoy your new year, and good luck, your Devils, and BYU fans. Enjoy your bowl game. I think that'll be a fun one as well.
It will. Thanks for your time. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Sounds great, PK. Take care.
All right, that's a long-time Salt Lake City sports radio. I would call him a legend. He's a legend in the sports radio industry, having been a program director at huge markets, and now not doing it. But we appreciate him coming on Fridays because he is entertaining as always. So stay with us. We'll get you caught up on what you may have missed right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
College football, where it was with geographical conferences, was better. I hate an 18-team Big Ten that features Oregon and Washington playing on the Big Ten network. That makes no damn sense.
Oh, of course.
None.
No.
So what are we doing here? And then you got the situation where Indiana doesn't have a good win on their schedule, but they make the college football playoff because they don't play everybody in their conference. How can you be the champion of a conference if you only played half the teams in your conference?
Right.
What are we doing? I I don't like it, but you embrace what it is. You embrace the chaos. It's entertaining one way or the other, but I'd prefer it to be the way it was as opposed to where it is right now in 2024.
The athletic director for Alabama said, well, now you forced us into reconsidering what we're going to do with our non-conference schedule.
Everybody from Alabama, just take a seat, man.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Did you watch the game last night? It was an entertaining game. I actually enjoyed watching it. Some of these games where they've been smoked right from the start haven't been as entertaining, but this wasn't one of them, as they led throughout most of the game. Had a 15-point lead, but go down as the Blazers score 41 points. Outscored the Jazz by 9 in the fourth quarter and win 122-120. If you didn't see it, Scoot Henderson hit a shot, ended up going through the net with 0.01 seconds to go. He had 18 off the bench. This Avdia, he was a high pick a couple years back, 27 points, 8 boards, and 6 assists. How about that? Wow. Didn't see that coming. But overall, the Jazz played well without a lot of guys, without Collins, without George, without Clarkson. So relied on the younger dudes. Isaiah Collier got the start, 35 minutes. Had 8 rebounds. He's actually a bigger guard. From that perspective, reminds me a little of Andre Miller, who plays a little bigger than he is. Isaiah's a little taller than Andre was. He's not even close to the player yet. 7 assists, but he had 6 turnovers. That's not good enough. You got to get better at that. Colin Section, 19, 11 assists. That was good. And Filipowski played well. Cody Williams, we saw him, man, get out there for 25 minutes. Still trying to find a way to make an impact. If you buy the plus-minus, he had the worst of the minus categories on the team. They were a minus 18 when he was on the floor. That's by far the worst because all the starters had pluses ranging from +1 to Sexton all the way up to 16 from that Sviv guy played at Kansas. Made 6 3-pointers, which was decent. I appreciate that. He was shooting the ball well. Jazz shot the ball well overall. Can't really argue with that and the way they made their shots. It's just that Portland shot 50% from the field. That's not shot 50% from 3. Now, we've always said, man, with the number of threes that you take in these games, if you shoot 50%, you got an outstanding chance to win, which they did, but they didn't win. Part of the problem is 17 of 25 from the free throw line. Kessler continues to struggle. He's going to have to get better at that. 3 of 6. He airballed 1 in the second half, I think it was. He came back and made the second one. But he has an opportunity to get fouled a fair amount of times, and he's going to have to get better at free throw shooting. There's no doubt about that. He's got to find a way to get close to 70%. How about that? 70%. Jazz are off now. They'll play tomorrow at the Delta Center against Philadelphia. We had Locke on earlier this morning. He thinks Philadelphia is worthy of consideration to come out of the East. Now, they got to get healthy, right? If they're healthy, how good can they be? Right now, they're 11-17. And they would be out of the playoff if it started today, or the play-in for that matter. The Bulls are sitting there at 5 games under in 10th place in the play-in. Yeah, I mean, that really sucks. If we've got teams that are 5 or 10 games under 500 getting in the play-in, is that really what we want? No. I'll be the first one to answer that. No, we do not want that whatsoever. That would be awful. At least in the West, probably the teams that are 9 and 10 will be around 500, maybe a little bit better. We'll see how that plays out as far as that goes. But when you look at the teams that are in contention for the worst record, which the Jazz are, you got New Orleans with only 5 wins, man. I don't know what Zion's going to do. Does anybody have any idea what he's going to do? Is he going to play? Is he going to sit? Probably going to sit. If you're going to bet on it, what's he going to do? Sit out. But they're there. That was why it was important for the Jazz to lose that game last night, because then they would have been right on neck and neck with Portland. Portland could still do it with 10 wins or 10-20. And I think now, once you get past Christmas, the standings are worth taking a look at. Washington got a win last night, shockingly. So you got Charlotte. I think they beat Charlotte, who stinks, so someone had to win. You got Charlotte and Toronto with 7 wins and Washington with 5. I mean, I think it's imperative, absolutely imperative, that they get a top 5 pick and probably top 3. Maybe compromise, go top 4. I think they need it. Locke's talking about the team being competitive in 30-31. I don't know, Yak, does that seem like that's about 20 years away to you? It seems a long ways away.
It does, but at the same time, it's actually not that far off. We're getting old quick, PK.
But when he said that...
Oh, no, I trust me.
When he said that, did you cringe a little bit?
Well, I'm just glad you followed up with a follow-up question saying, did you pull that number from somewhere, or is that something we should be paying attention to? And it was stunning to hear him say it, but then when he explained it, it's like, oh, I guess he's right.
Well, considering, so we're in a 24-25 season, right? Obviously.
Correct, yes.
So that would be, and we still got more than half of the season to go here. Another month or so before we get to the halfway point. They're coming up on 30 games played, which means they still got over 50 to go. So you look at it, so this would be the third season of no playoff. So then you'd have 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28, and then 28, 29. I mean, that's close to a decade almost.
Yeah.
Now, he did say in terms of being able to be a threat to win it all, so maybe you can make the playoffs or at least the play-in a season or two before that. But, he's talking about the timeline because I asked him about Kessler. The point of him bringing that up, I said, Kessler's playing well. All the guys who are 23 and under, who's playing the best consistently? George is getting there, but we would have to go with Kessler. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Kessler, of the young guys 23 and under, he's the one dude who has the most experience. He's in his 3rd year. Everybody else is either in their 2nd or rookie seasons, right? So then I followed up, and Kessler's doing what they're asking him to do defensively and rebound. It seems like he's doing it far more often than not, whereas last year it was the other way around, right? And so I asked him, all right, does that mean that Kessler is the most tradable asset? And because your marketing can't go now with the rules, maybe next year. And he said, and I agree with him, as far as the timeline of the Jazz being competitive, that Kessler fits in the timeline, which most definitely he does. Just age-wise, yes, he fits in the timeline. I understand there. That's a fact. Things up when the team is ready to be competitive in 30-31, and I'm thinking 30-31, I'll be pushing up daisies in 30-31. That just seems way. Have to put up with losing for another 5 seasons. Oh my gosh, that makes me nervous. So, well, there you go. Kessler is 23 years of age, right? So, and salary-wise, I don't even think he's making $3 million on that deal. As far as that goes, his birthday I think is in the summer, if I remember correctly. So he's still a young pup. We'll see. Jazz are back in action Saturday. Utah hockey team back in action tonight against the Avalanche. Lost in overtime the other night. After what were they up? Were they up 4-1? I think they were up 4-1, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
And So that was a rough one, being up 4-1. But it just leads to the level of excitement that these guys play at. I mean, they play, you literally never know what's going to happen. So if you're looking for exciting competition, the Utah Hockey Club right now is almost like a guarantee that that's what it's going to be. Just you never know what they're going to do. I mean, they had won, 4 in a row. Then Anaheim got them on Saturday or Sunday, I think it was, 5-4 that was the game that they lost 5-4 in the shootout. And then Dallas on Monday they lost 3-2. So now they've had a good break here over Christmas. Tonight, get back at it, 7:30 ESPN 2, and then the big bowl game, the Cougars and the Buffaloes. Wow. I'm super excited about this game. There's a slew of games today, slew of games tomorrow. But the number one game I want to see is BYU and Colorado. And I think that probably if I wasn't assigned to be paying attention to BYU, I would still want to see that's the case there. I think that's where we're going with this. And they have an opportunity to get 11 wins. And any way you spin it, 11 wins is a great season. Now, if they get smoked 41-7 or something, that would be a huge disappointment. Maybe if they lose a close game, you can live with it a little bit better. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. So we'll see about that. But they got an opportunity to win this ball game. And I think that if they win, I think you can argue it's the best win of the season. They beat Kansas State, which had 9 wins. And they won their bowl game last night against Rutgers. They were down big, but still managed an opportunity to put themselves in a position to win it, and that they did. And how about Pittsburgh and Toledo? What are they saying? That thing went 6 overtimes? Is that what it is?
Yes, 6 overtimes. And that came just 2 days after we had a 5 overtime game in Hawaii.
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah, Christmas Eve? Yeah. My fam wanted to watch a movie Christmas Eve, a Christmas movie, a little bit of a tradition. I said, okay, but I want to watch this game first. Let's wait till it ends. Santa's not coming till after midnight. We're okay. And I did watch that game too, and that was a fun game to watch. And then you had, yesterday, it was in one of the overtimes that Pittsburgh was right there, like on the 2-yard line. On 3rd down, they didn't get in, and on 4th down, they kicked the field goal. And not Baylor, I don't know where I came up with Baylor. Kansas State had just kicked the field goal themselves. So they only had 2 yards to go to try to win the game. And then if you're going to just tie it and move on to overtime, especially the overtimes where you have to just do the 2-point conversion, that's the same distance. So why not go for the win right there? But they didn't. And then there were 2 times where Toledo thought they won on a quarterback sack, and then when the quarterback tried to get in the end zone, 2 separate plays, and they reviewed them, and they went in Pittsburgh's favor. So the Toledo came rushing on the field. Not the fans, but the players. So they ended up doing twice and then had to clear the field and start again. It's much easier to clear the players than the fans. I understand that. But I think, Yak, they did set the record for most game-winning celebrations. It was literally 3 times then.
Yeah, the Utah Ute fans over there. Like,
we still have.
Hey.
Yeah, but that was the fans. So Utah still holds for field storming by a fan base. They still hold the record for 3, so they're okay there. That was just the players, and they ran out of the field celebrating. And that's why, man, I am dead set against all these people who say these bowls are meaningless. They may be meaningless to you, but watch the teams when they win. Just watch them when they win. Does it look like it's meaningless to them? No. It does not look like it's meaningless to them. It looks like it really matters to them. And if it matters to them, good on them. I think it matters over. So I say keep somehow as the playoff continues to dominate. I'm all fine with that, but still keep these other bowl games going because it matters to these youngsters and they get that opportunity. And it mattered when South Florida beat San Jose State in 5 OTs on Christmas Eve. All right, stay with us next. We will close up the show, get some feedback, and prepare you for the best 10 a.m. to noon show that you could possibly listen to in the world, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And it's all over almost here.
Don't go nowhere.
Thank you for joining us on this Friday. Tomorrow's the big game. BYU and I was going to say BYU and Utah. No, not the Utes. BYU and Colorado. Is this the de facto Big 12 title game, as Jake Retzlaff calls it, the People's Big 12 championship game? Oh, my gosh, who's buying that? Isn't that just blatant disrespect to the Sun Devils and Iowa State? Now, these are 7-2 teams, and you had the two teams that got in the final at 7-2, and through some spiel on a tiebreaker, however they came up with it, BYU and Colorado were left out. Now, Colorado, they would have lost 3 games overall, so I guess that doesn't really count, though. It was all 7-2 in the league. Each team, Kansas, who would have thought Kansas would be the big-time spoiler, because Kansas beat BYU and then beat Colorado. Right? And then I think then you're thinking, okay, Kansas has got going on. I think they'd beaten Iowa State the week before and had won 3 games against ranked teams, and then they turned around, and I think Baylor drilled them at the end. So I put it up on Facebook. Is this the de facto? Is this the people's game? Shane Retzlaff is clueless. If he didn't throw the ball so much to the other team, they would have a legitimate chance at the title game. Oh, my gosh, Shane, coming strong. Ben, ha, 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 ha. No, it's not. Oh, Tyler, I can't wait for Colorado to put 50 on them. Ute fans, are you going to be big Colorado fans after they destroyed you in the penultimate game of the regular season? Okay. All right, but Pete's saying there's more interest in this game than there was for ASU Iowa State. Is that true? There was more interest in the game? I guess maybe you can argue. I don't know. Terry says whatever floats his boat. If that's what you want, I will say this. If the Cougars win, I hope they do. If they do, then 11-2. Does this go down as a top 5 season? What do you think, Yuck? I mean, that's a discussion for another day. Do you think it goes down as a top 5 season?
Top
given the
5?
Yeah, all the Power 4 teams that they played, they will have played, 10? 11, I guess.
There's an argument to be
SMU.
made there. I think it's top 10 easy. I just have a question about it being top 5. But you make a very good point, considering you look at the level of difficulty with the opponents and the like. It's right there in the mix. If 11-2 would be pretty impressive, and there's not that many 11-win seasons in BYU history in general.
Right. Unless you're the big boys, I don't know how many programs can say they've had a lot of 11-win seasons. You got to really be up there in the hierarchy. 11 wins. I mean, there's no consistent of the El Pasos of the world or whoever that you don't think was good back in the WAC/Mountain West days. And here, I mean, they played a lot of good teams, man. Baylor, 8-win team, right? They beat all these teams. So you got to give it to them. I mean, Utah was only, a 5-win team, but that game always seems to be a knockdown, drag-out affair.
It doesn't matter what the records are, those two teams.
Yeah. Even if you're a lousy team record-wise, it seems like you always play your best game of the season when you're playing those two get together, and that's what we had here. So, yeah, I think there's a possibility you can make an argument. You know, I'm not a historian the way probably you are, having grown up here and followed BYU your whole life, and certainly DJ, who has a better mind for that than I do. But if they win, maybe that. Now I want to. That's another reason I want them to win even more, because then we got a topic for next week. Where does this 11-2, if they win, obviously, where does it fit in on the scale of greatest seasons?
Sure, and I guess
13-0's got to be up there, obviously.
Yeah, and the argument, I guess, conversely, PK, if they lose this one, they go 1-3 to finish out the season. Is it one of the bigger disappointments?
Yeah, how about that? If you're 10-3, is it a disappointing season? Well, you finish the stretch run 1-3. Yeah, that's why I think there's a lot riding on this game, particularly for the Cougars who return a bunch of guys. Colorado, I mean, their main stars are going to go off to the NFL. BYU, not so much. So this is something that can springboard into next season for sure. All right, well, we'll be talking about that at great detail come Monday. It'll be all right. For now, you listen to our guys, Ben and Jake, because they'll be up next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.